come up, it's actually related to all of this, and we know there's been an arrest after the Daily Express uncovered a chaos plot for Remembrance Day itself, tomorrow, Armistice Day, which is the 11th of November. We'll continue to be wearing our poppies then as well. And there is an organisation called Youth Demand, which have been involved with this. There's also the fact that Palestine Action now has a manual offering advice on buying sledgehammers, breaking into buildings. This is a hardline pro-Palestinian campaign group training members on how to create a cell using hostile tactics against British firms linked to the Israeli weapons industry. And we know that these same people would be disrupting remembrance services as well. Now, Gary Mond is the chairman of the National Jewish Assembly. Gary, you're very welcome to the programme. As we reflect on, and indeed still have pictures on our screen for those of us who are watching, as you know, the majority of people listen to this station, but some people watch as well, and you're very welcome to do so on YouTube or connected devices. But Gary, as we remember today, there are those who would disrupt and do much worse than that. Gary, your reaction?
Well, firstly, I want to give a shout-out for the Association of Jewish Ex-Servicemen, who will be having their own ceremony a week from today at Whitehall in honour of those Jewish Britons who gave their lives for our country in both the First and the Second World Wars. And a shout-out, too, for my own father-in-law, Stanley Feynman, who's American and who fought for the Americans, fighting his way through France and Germany in 1944 to 45. But yes, with regard to your question, it is absolutely appalling that there are certain groups who tend to want to support terrorist organisations who are rebelling against what is happening today and who wish to undermine what is happening today. And this sort of behaviour has got to be stopped, and I'm delighted that at least one arrest has been made.
Yes, it is absolutely horrendous that this is happening, and we know that it sort of just makes me a question, Gary, is nothing sacred, essentially, in all of this, if there are people who would disrupt even as we remember our war dead?
They have got a really serious problems themselves, in the sense that they cannot appreciate the freedoms that all the British soldiers and Navy and Air Force fought for in the Second World War, so that we could live in freedom and not under Adolf Hitler's oppression.
You're absolutely right. And actually, when you're mentioning those Jewish servicemen who are being remembered next week, that is perhaps a part of our history, Gary, that is not particularly well known. Could you just tell us a little bit about the huge contribution of Jewish people to the war effort and, of course, in helping the effort that liberated so many Jewish people who managed to survive the war, when 6 million of them, of course, were brutally exterminated by Hitler?
Yes, I would say that the Jewish contribution to the war, I wouldn't say that I would differentiate it from the contribution of non-Jews from the war. It's just that we, as a religion, and for Jewish people in the UK, we feel we ought to have our own additional service to just reinforce what has been happening today and express our complete support for what is happening today. And every year, the Association of Jewish Ex-Servicemen organises a memorial at the Cenotaph 1 week after the official event.
Are you worried that it will be targeted, Gary? Have you got mitigations? And I really hope it isn't. I hope it goes off without a hitch. I hope there's no problem whatsoever. But given the atmosphere that is around at the moment, given the huge level of anti-Semitism that is being experienced by your community, are you worried about what might happen? Have you mitigations in place?
Well, in the past year, we've always been worried about all sorts of public events. I have every confidence that the security will be firm, will be rigorous, and will be successful. So, yes, I'm worried, of course, but I do have confidence, particularly in the CST, the Community Security Trust, who I'm sure will be active there, and in the police and other security groups.
This group, Palestine Action, clearly has taken a lot of what they would call direct action, which is just illegal, basically terrorist action. They broke into the University of Manchester's chemistry building, stole a bust of Chaim Weizmann, the first president of Israel. He'd been a lecturer, in fact, a very eminent scientist in the University of Manchester in the early 1900s. They posted pictures on social media showing the bust, which had been beheaded, captioned, "First bust of Weizmann is dead. Soon his Zionist project will be too." You must worry at the escalation here, especially in light of what had happened in Amsterdam this week as well to Jewish people there who were targeted because they were Jewish.
Why hasn't such a group like that been banned already?
Yeah.
It's disgraceful that it has not been banned. And we're now starting to see some organisations around Europe, some municipal authorities around Europe, doing a little bit about it. For example, a couple of days ago, there was the good news that the municipal authorities in Berlin have banned the chant "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." And we want to start seeing a much more rigorous and thorough approach taken by the authorities in this country. And as I've said on your programme in the past, this has to lead to the banning of the so-called Palestinian flag.
Gary, just stay with us. We're going to go to a break, but there's more to discuss on all of this, and I want to ask you a few more questions. Stay with us here on Talk.
The Vicarage of Common Virtue.